Hey everyone! Welcome back to day 19 of our HTML and CSS mini projects. Today we're building a modern responsive navbar with a dropdown and hamburger toggle using only HTML and CSS. Let's start by creating our header section. It will hold our logo, a hidden checkbox for toggling the hamburger menu, and our navigation links. Here's our logo. It represents our brand and will be placed on the left side of the navbar. Now we'll add a hidden checkbox. This checkbox will be used to toggle the navigation menu on and off. No JavaScript required. Next, we'll create the hamburger icon using 3 span lines. When clicked, these lines will transform into an X shape. Now let's start adding our navigation links. The first link will be Home. This usually takes the user back to the main page of our website. We're using an anchor tag here, but in a real project, you can replace the hashtag with an actual URL or section ID. Notice how clean and minimal this layout looks already. Next, we'll add a drop-down menu called Our Services. This arrow symbol, down triangle, helps users know that there are more options available inside. Drop-downs are perfect for websites that have multiple service categories or project types. Let's start by resetting all default browser styles and setting our global font to Poppins for a clean, modern look. We'll give the page a dark background and set our text color to white. Now let's start styling our header. This is where our entire navigation bar lives. First, we're setting the width to 100%, so it stretches all the way across the top of the page, no matter the screen size. Then, we'll add a beautiful linear gradient background. I'm blending dark blue, teal, and turquoise together to give it that fresh, modern tech look. The gradient also helps the navbar stand out without being too flashy. We're using Display Flex here. That allows us to align our logo and navigation links neatly in a row. The Justify Content Space Between property pushes the logo to the left and the navigation links to the right, creating a nice balance across the header. We're also adding Align Items Center to keep everything perfectly centered vertically. This makes your navbar look clean and aligned. Here's our logo style. We'll make it bold, white, and slightly spaced for a clean tech brand look. Next, we'll style our navigation links. They'll sit side by side on large screens with smooth hover animations. Now we're styling the individual navigation links inside our navbar. We'll start by setting the text color to a soft, light gray. This makes the links easy to read against our dark gradient background while still keeping that clean and modern look. Next, we remove the underline by setting text decoration to none. That helps the links blend better into the navbar design and gives it a minimalist style. Then we set the font size to 1 rem. That's a perfect balance. Not too large, not too small, and it will automatically adjust based on the browser's default font settings. Now let's create our drop-down menu. We'll start by setting the parent container.dropdown to position relative. This helps us position the drop-down items perfectly below it later on. Now we'll style the dropdown itself. We're using absolute positioning so it appears just below our Services link. I'm adding a soft vertical gradient from dark navy at the top to teal at the bottom to keep it consistent with the navbar theme. The border radius of 10 pixels makes the corners smooth, and the box shadow adds a nice floating effect. We're also adding a fade-in animation for a more modern, polished feel. Each drop-down link will have some padding for spacing and a slightly smaller font size to separate them from the main navbar links. The light gray text color works beautifully against the darker background. For the hover effect, we're adding a turquoise gradient background. This makes it feel interactive and modern. When the user hovers over each item, it lights up, giving that subtle premium look. Finally, when we hover over the main drop-down area, we want the drop-down menu to appear. So here we use .dropdown:hover .dropdown-menu curly brace display flex curly close brace. This tells CSS to reveal the hidden menu when we hover over its parent. Now we'll hide our checkbox and use it to control the hamburger toggle. Let's make our navbar responsive. When the screen width is below 850 pixels, we'll stack our links vertically and show the hamburger menu. Here we make the menu button, the 3 horizontal lines, visible only on smaller screens. On desktop, we hide it because the full menu is already visible. Now, let's make the hamburger icon animate into an X shape when it's clicked. When the checkbox is checked, the first line rotates 45 degrees and moves slightly down. The second line fades out completely by setting its opacity to 0, and the third line rotates minus 45 degrees and moves up a bit. Together, these 3 small changes create that satisfying X animation effect. This makes it visually clear to the user that the menu is open. Finally, for the dropdown on mobile, we simplify the layout. By setting its position to static, it now flows naturally inside the open menu, instead of floating or overlapping. We remove the box shadow to keep it clean and add a small border radius so it still feels consistent with our desktop design. And that's it. Now our entire navbar is fully responsive, looks great on any screen size, and functions beautifully without JavaScript. And there we go. Our hamburger menu is fully functional using only HTML and CSS. You can click to open, click again to close, and it transitions smoothly with that clean X animation. It's responsive, modern, and perfect for your next project.